Hey everybody, welcome back to I Plead the First. We are talking the police shooting today, and you're going to want to hear what I got to say, so I'll see you on the other side.
I plead the first, American dream. I plead the first, white shirt, blue jeans. I plead the first, American dream.
Alright everybody, tonight's going to be a quick video. We're going over the police shooting up in Minnesota. It's pretty straightforward in my mind. I just want to cover some of the details, kind of get those out there and tell you my opinion. That's why people watch the shows, to hear me yap about things. So here we go. 2 days ago, 11 April, ex-officer Kimberly Potter, because I believe she has been fired or resigned, she fatally shot 20-year-old Daunte Wright during a traffic stop. He was pulled over for an alleged traffic violation. Something here in this story that kind of caught my eye was around 1:30 p.m. on April 11th, several officers pulled over Wright in the city of Brooklyn Center for an alleged traffic violation. My question is, why are there several officers involved in a traffic violation? I don't know what he's doing. I don't know if he was a good person. I don't know if he was suspected of something more serious. I don't know those details, and frankly, I don't care. I am a little tired of... I know this is a conservative channel, and I know generally the conservative take on this is the police are right, and you should submit and do whatever the police say, and obey the law, and you wouldn't end up in this situation, and blah, 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 blah. And, you know, most of that is true most of the time. But I think there are situations, and this one is shaping up to be one, where the cops aren't right. I don't feel the cops were right in this situation. It's okay to say the cops weren't right. Cops are not always right. And us on the right, we got to be really, really careful about saying that the police officers are always right and we should always believe them. I don't trust cops. Not because I don't like cops. I have cops that are friends, and I love them to death, and I hope they're safe every day. But I'm talking about in the execution of their duties. I don't trust them. They do stuff all the time that is borderline violations of rights, and they just kind of skirt by them with these little, what the left likes to call loopholes. And cops have these loopholes too all the time. And, oh, well, he swerved a little bit. Let me pull him over because what I actually think he's doing is blah, 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 blah. So I'll just find any reason. They can find any reason to pull you over, basically, is what I'm saying. If they want to pull you over, they can pull you over. I have lots of friends in law enforcement that tell me this all the time, that if they want to pull someone over, it's super easy to find a reason to pull someone over. So all of you guys that are kind of feeling high and mighty, like, oh, I never get pulled over, and I just obey the law, that's why I'm never in these situations. It's not always the case, man. If they want to pull you over, you can be driving like you drive every single day. They'll find a reason if they want to pull you over. I don't know what this kid was doing. He may have done something that caused the suspicion. I would imagine that he did, but with the actions and the negligence of the police officers involved in this shooting, I am currently in the mode of not trusting them. And I will remain in that mode until proven otherwise. Because we have body cam footage, we know what happened. We know this isn't a innocent until proven guilty situation, in my opinion, because we already have proof, right? And I'm not a jury. If I was sitting on the jury, then I would need to take that innocent until proven guilty stance. But because I'm not on a jury, I'm just some dude watching a video, I can come to my own conclusions. And I don't have to wait until proven guilty because I saw the video, man. Anyway, let me get back to this. Then Police Chief Tim Gannon, who resigned Tuesday, later told reporters in a press conference that the officer initially pulled Wright over due to expired tags on his license plate. All right, yeah, fair enough. Pull him over. Sure. Expired tags. Happens all the time. As one officer approached Wright's car, he noticed a hanging item from the rearview mirror. So later on, what we found out about the hanging item was it's a freaking air freshener. And the police are pointing to this ridiculous law that Minnesota has. Minnesota law prohibits drivers from placing any object suspended between the driver and the windshield, apart from sun visors, rear view mirrors, safety equipment, GPS systems, and toll collection devices. So you can't put your air freshener there. This is stuff that pisses me off about the government. How dare the government tell you what you can do in your own private vehicle? It's my vehicle. I'll do whatever I want in it. If I cause a wreck and because I did something stupid, then I'm liable. Just like these police are liable for their dumb accident that killed somebody. Asked for Wright's ID, returned to his vehicle, Wright's name, blah, 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 outstanding warrant. So he had a warrant. So, he's done some stuff, made some mistakes. Maybe he's not a great person. I don't really care. He didn't deserve to die. That's why they removed him from the car and they were taking him for a custodial arrest. Fine, no problem. Now here's where I'm going to jump on the young man's back a little bit, and I feel a little bit bad because he's dead, and that's terrible. But he resisted arrest. You can't do that. You cannot do that. It's stupid. There's no reason to do that. You're going to get yourself hurt. At best, even if you get away, you're just going to make your legal troubles worse. They know who you were. What do you think you're going to do by getting away? So don't resist arrest. That's where people have to start understanding what is a dumb action and what is a smart action. And resisting arrest is stupid. Go along with it. If they're wrong for some reason, if they've mistreated you or they've done something not accurate, grab your lawyer. At the very least, you're going to get a public defender. Public defenders can figure out things too. They're not the worst lawyers in the world. Well, maybe they are, but they're still lawyers, and they still know the law, and they can still catch people doing dumb stuff. So anyway, I get it why they were removing him. Everything makes sense so far. Fleeing the police officer means other than a motor vehicle. So 2 gross misdemeanor charges of carrying a pistol without a permit. So he had a pistol he's carrying around, and a misdemeanor charge of fleeing a peace officer by means other than a vehicle. So he ran. So he's run a couple times and got away. Which, here again, it goes back to what I said just a few minutes ago about don't run. It just makes your legal problems worse, man. At some point during the traffic stop, Wright called his mother and told her what was happening. She said she heard an argument first, then scuffling sounds. You shouldn't be arguing with them. I've gotten into a couple of disagreements with officers, but there's a point where you can push it and you should know your boundaries. Like, there's cops, man. There's some cops out there who are jerks. That's reality. And even if you get one of those jerks and you try to push back a little bit, there's a point where I say, it's not worth it. I'm going to call a sergeant as soon as he drives away, I'm calling a sergeant. And if he doesn't handle it, I'm calling their lieutenant. And if they don't handle it, I'm calling the chief. And if the chief doesn't handle it, then I'm calling the freaking DA or somebody. Because somebody's going to put them in check. Anyway, she said she heard the officer approach Wright in the window and said, put down the phone and get out of the car. Okay, they're about to arrest him. That makes sense. Why? She said she heard the officer say he'd explain to you when you get out of the car. They're putting him under arrest. This is fairly normal. Wright's mother said she heard her son's phone either being set down or dropped, then scuffle, following by an officer. Daunte, don't run. This is where Daunte messes up, man. He's trying to run it again. Stop it. And it ultimately cost him his life, okay? Like, the cops were wrong, but so was Daunte. Everybody in this situation was wrong. Police body camera footage showed Wright exiting the driver's side door before an officer started to place him in handcuffs. The officer and another officer both told Wright he had a warrant. Okay, they explained to him why he's under arrest. The officer handcuffing Wright paused momentarily and appeared to warn Wright, "Don't do it," before Wright swiftly pulled his hand from the officer's grasp and jumped back into the driver's seat of the car. So the officer probably saw him looking at the car or plotting. I mean, you could just kind of see when somebody's about to run. And he said, "Don't do it." I think the better move at that point is to finish restraining him. Just my guess. An officer who has since been identified as Kimberly Potter could be seen withdrawing her gun and yelling, "I'll tase you," and then taser, taser, taser before opening fire. Then she says, "Oh shit, I just shot him." This is the part we all wanted to get to, obviously. This is the part where I'm sorry. I've been armed. I've been armed in many situations. I've been taught use of force. There's no excuse for this. There's just no excuse. If you are a trained individual that frequently handles your firearm, and you should be at the range on a regular basis, you know what your pistol feels like. All the tasers I've held are significantly lighter, and they just are shaped differently than your pistol. And oh, by the way, I don't know that the one that she was grabbing for was yellow, but most of them are yellow for this reason. If you're pulling a taser to tase somebody, then you want to see the yellow taser in your hand before you pull the trigger. How did she, did she look down the pistol and get sights? I mean, what's going on here? Did she seriously look down her sights and pull the trigger? How can you say that's an accident? That's not accidental. That's either murder at worst or just sheer stupidity and negligence at best. There's no excuse for this whatsoever. The young man running and acting like an idiot is not an excuse for her to make a mistake like this. It's just not. Gannon said he believes Potter genuinely intended to use her taser, but instead fired a bullet. He said that the fact that Porter repeatedly shouted taser and was done by her and done to make her partners aware, as well as the subject, that a taser would deploy imminently. So here's the thing that I really, really wanted to get to, and I was talking to somebody about this earlier today. He added, the officers are trained to keep their handguns on their dominant side and their tasers on their weak side. This is pretty standard ops, man. Why are you reaching for your pistol on the right side if you're wanting to tase somebody? So this points to a lack of significant training. If she genuinely made this mistake, which for the purpose of this video and the remainder of this video, I am going to give her the benefit of the doubt. And I'm going to say this was not murder. It was just the worst mistake of her life. Which, by the way, she deserves prison time for. I'm not saying she should get off. I'm not saying that it was okay. Let's just pretend for a moment that I buy her story and it was completely accidental. That shows that this department's leadership have all failed, all their officers, and their officers have failed to train adequately. They're not out doing exercises. They're not out putting this scenario into action in a training environment where a mistake like this can be made without killing somebody. And everybody can learn from it and be... You see, if you did this in a training environment enough, this would have come up. If there's a training deficiency, this would have come up at some point. Somebody would have accidentally draw their pistol out. And then the trainer could have been like, whoa, what are you doing? You just killed that guy. But at no cost of human life, they could have corrected that and been like, well, in the training environment, Officer Potter pulled her freaking weapon instead of her taser. What is the root cause of that? They could have really broke that down. So let's pretend for a moment that I even buy the story that she didn't. It's hard for me to buy, guys. You might hear that in my voice. Because I've looked down the sights of a pistol many times. Looked down the sights of all kinds of weapons many times, and I never made a mistake about which weapon I was holding. I've used tasers. I've done all that stuff. I've been through all that training. I can't imagine myself being in a moment that is so adrenaline filled and hectic that I accidentally pulled the weapon off my right hip instead of the taser off my left. Doesn't even make sense. I'm just not, I don't buy it, man. You're looking down that sight. She obviously hit what she was aiming at, which means she aimed. She might not have got a good sight picture, but at some point, that black pistol is in her sight instead of the yellow taser. I just don't buy it. So let's see what the mom had to say. I cannot accept. I lost my son. He's never coming back. Oh, that's Wright's father, excuse me. A mistake? That doesn't even sound right. And I don't blame him for saying that. It doesn't sound right. If I was this kid's father, I would be in a state of mind of that was murder. Does anybody blame him? Can anybody honestly say they blame the way that father feels? I would not accept the answer the cops are giving. Not at all. Not even close would I accept that answer. My response to them would be, you mean to tell me you guys are that fucking big of idiots? Either you're the biggest idiots on the face of the planet and they need to fire the entire department, or you committed murder. That's my stance as a father. I'm trying to be a little bit more objective and give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. But to me, worst case scenario in this situation is that lady committed murder for whatever reason. I'm not going to even pretend to know why she would commit murder. Best case scenario is she is completely inadequately trained and probably the inappropriate person to be a police officer, which you would hope to find through appropriate training. The reason we do tough training, the reason we put realistic, hard training in place is to find people that are going to crack and either fix it so they don't crack or get rid of them. And I think that this officer, whatever her name is, should never have been a police officer. I don't know her personally. I'm not gonna. Well, I am gonna say something bad about her, but it's not out of meanness. It's just my assessment of her so far. I don't know her as a person. I probably never will. But she seems stupid. This kind of stuff, man, it just keeps stirring up all the pot and keeps making things worse. And I guarantee you, I don't know if the cop was white. I assume she was. This is going to be made into a racial thing. And it's already resulted in riots and, I don't know. And this personally doesn't look like a riot to me. I mean, these people look like they're pretty calm and just protesting, which is reasonable. I think some pretty spirited protesting, and I'm not talking about tearing anybody's stuff up. I'm not talking about setting things on fire or looting, any kind of rioting bullcrap. I'm not talking about that. But I think they're well within their rights. I mean, everybody should think that they are well within their rights to have some very, very, very spirited protesting up in Minnesota until something gets fixed, because this stuff is crazy, man. Someday I'll talk about the George Floyd stuff. George Floyd, I've seen that over and over again. I got a bunch of opinions about that. It doesn't really matter if George Floyd was a good person or not. I hear a lot of conservatives say that. It doesn't really matter if he was doing what he was supposed to or not. That's what cops are there for. Everybody that they interact with, for the most part, is not doing what they're supposed to. Yet somehow, not everyone ends up dead. As resisting arrest is going to put you at risk for bodily harm, but I just don't think that in this instance, or for that matter, George Floyd's instance, I watched that whole video. That was excessive, man. I don't think it was a racist thing. I don't think it was a racial anything. I think the cop was a shitty cop with bad training. Training is a big issue for me with cops. We don't do enough of it. We don't fund it well. We don't give them realistic training. We don't give them the time during the week to do realistic training. Their training is out on the street, and that's wrong. You can't train guys out on the street and expect the training to be amazing. They should not be doing OJT or on-the-job training until they've been through some serious, really good, solid scenario training. And apparently the scenario training that they're getting at academies and stuff is not quite up to snuff. And then just because you finish at the academy and you're on the job training then and you get signed off, that doesn't mean that the training should end at that point. The training should continue. There's such a thing as called a continuation training, and cops should have better continuation training. And I guarantee you that their continuation training is just filling a block somehow. It's probably some briefing with a PowerPoint where they talk about bullcrap and probably half the class falls asleep and they watch slides and videos. That's not good training. Sorry, if you're the person out there that's doing that kind of training, if I'm pissing you off, good, fuck you. Do it right. Everybody in America deserves it to be done right. You're not doing it right. The cops deserve better training. The people that they serve deserve better training. We got to get this fixed. There should be probably, in my opinion, once or at least once a week, where an officer is getting some kind of scenario training in a safe environment off the street. I think they should be getting jiu-jitsu training. I think that's critical. If they had proper jiu-jitsu training and we could get them beyond a white belt level in jiu-jitsu, then I think you're a lot less likely to have injuries and fatalities when they end up grappling with somebody. A decent jiu-jitsu grappler is going to be able to control a situation without permanently hurting the person that they're subduing. That's just a fact. So, talked a little bit longer than I thought I would about this, but it fires me up because to me the whole situation boils down to training. I don't think that Officer Potter. I don't think Officer Potter woke up in the morning and said, "Hey, I'm going to kill somebody today." I don't think that happened. Did she get mad in the situation? I don't know. Maybe that's possible. I also really don't think that happened. I don't think she committed murder. I hope she didn't commit murder. I don't trust them. My closing thoughts are, I think she made the worst mistake of her life and it cost a young man his life. I think that it's because she was not fit to be a police officer. And I think partially the reason she wasn't fit to be a police officer was at least partially her training, which is also her responsibility, by the way. It's not just on her superiors. She should be spending time at the range, and I really think, honestly, just range time would probably have negated this mistake, because I'm going to tell you something. When my Glock is in my hand, I know what pistol I'm holding. You can blindfold me. I know it's my Glock. You put any one of my guns, I'm not going to make a list for you guys or anything, but I have a number of guns. You put any one of my guns in my hand blindfolded, I know which one I'm holding, just by weight and feel. If when you pull your pistol out of your holster, you can't automatically be like, I'm holding my Glock, I'm holding my whatever. You're not doing enough range time, in my opinion, to be out there carrying a gun and pointing it at people for a freaking traffic stop. Because the dude had a expired tag and a Christmas tree in his freaking rearview mirror. This is fail. This is a big fail. And specifically out to our liberal people that do watch this with us, this is something we can all unite on. I don't see any reason why the right and the left can't agree on making this a priority and fixing this the right way. I think anybody that watched this video should be able to come to some sort of reasonable agreement with me that training's got to be better. If you are a defund the police person, just don't talk to me. That's stupid. It's the dumbest idea I've possibly ever heard. But if you want to engage in a real conversation, I would love to talk more about the training that I think our officers deserve and the public that they serve deserves. So, just to be clear, as I close up, I am not a cop hater. I feel for her because she made a decision that will change her life forever. But more importantly, I feel for the young man that died for making a stupid mistake. He made a dumb mistake too. But it's not one that should have ended in his death. So thoughts go out to both of them. And the family and everybody involved that's hurting. And I hope that things stay safe up there. No rioting. Protest. Tell them they're idiots. They are. They need to get it fixed. They need to hear that they're idiots until they feel like they need to get it fixed. I know that's harsh, and I know some of the people that watch this are going to disagree with me and that they're cop lovers and everything else. I don't hate cops, man. I just want them to get it right. And until they demand good training, it's not going to be right. And if their egos are so big that they won't admit that their training sucks and that things went wrong and this was their fault, then something's wrong. I'm sorry. They have big egos. They need to be taken down a notch. Signing off, man. Like, share, subscribe. This was a tough one. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.
Everybody smoking all the greenery. Close the match 'cause they were handed down to me. But I'm still fly, I know. I'm still fly, let's go.